For 10,000 years, Cadia stood as the unyielding sentinel of the Imperium, a fortress world guarding the only stable passage into and out of the Eye of Terror. Positioned at the mouth of the Cadian Gate, the planet was more than just a bulwark. It was the linchpin of the Imperium's defense against the eternal threat of chaos. From orbit to its deepest catacombs, Cadia was a world of war. Its cities were built as fortress citadels, its fields crisscrossed by trenches and gun emplacements, and its people were soldiers from birth. To live on Cadia was to be forged in battle. Even the youngest Cadian children could disassemble and reassemble a lasgun before they could read. The Eye of Terror was a wound in reality, a vast warp storm that linked the material galaxy to the realm of chaos. For millennia, the forces of the ruinous powers had spilled from it in wave after wave of invasion, and Cadia was the wall against which those tides broke. Every generation, the planet endured yet another Black Crusade, vast campaigns led by Abaddon the Despoiler, War Master of Chaos. 12 times he had unleashed his might upon the Imperium. 12 times Cadia had bled but endured. But in the dying years of the 41st millennium, Abaddon prepared his 13th Black Crusade. This would not be a test of Cadia's strength, it would be its destruction. His war was not an act of sudden fury, it was the culmination of centuries of preparation. Across the galaxy, his agents hunted for ancient relics and weapons of unimaginable power. Among these were the Blackstone Fortresses, immense alien war machines capable of tearing planets apart or annihilating entire fleets. With several under his command, Abaddon forged an armada to rival any in Imperial history. The Chaos fleets swelled with traitor Space Marine legions, heretical Titan legions, warp-forged monstrosities, and cultist hordes beyond counting. The opening blow was aimed not at Cadia's surface, but at its lifeline, its orbital defenses and system-wide bastions. Imperial Navy battle groups were stationed throughout the Cadian system, along with star forts and defense platforms designed to repel any incursion from the Eye. Abaddon's fleets emerged in a storm of warp flame, their arrival preceded by vox screams and psychic howls that drove unshielded crews to madness. Leading the charge was the Vengeful Spirit, Abaddon's flagship, and the dreaded Planet Killer, a doomsday vessel capable of obliterating worlds with a single shot. The initial assaults were devastating. The Cassar Station, one of Cadia's largest orbital bastions, was annihilated within hours, its debris raining down through the atmosphere. Admiral Quarren, commanding the Cadian Defense Fleet, fought a desperate holding action, buying time for reinforcements to arrive from surrounding sectors. Space Marines from the Imperial Fists, Black Templars, and Dark Angels responded, deploying both in orbit and to the surface to reinforce the Cadian shock troops. On the ground, Lord Castellan Ursarkar Creed, Cadia's master tactician, began orchestrating the defense. Known for his ability to turn even the most desperate situations to advantage, Creed deployed regiments from across the Segmentum Obscurus. The stoic death corps of Krieg, the armored might of the Steel Legion, and countless Cadian-born soldiers. Cars, fortress cities, became redoubts, each prepared to fight to the last man. The enemy was relentless. The Black Legion struck first, spearheaded by the brutal warband of Karn the Betrayer, whose berserkers tore through Cassar in a blood frenzy. Traitor Guard regiments followed, supported by demonic engines that clawed through walls and slaughtered defenders wholesale. Each Imperial victory came at a horrific cost. For weeks, the battle raged. Cadia's void shields flickered under constant bombardment, skies choked with smoke and burning debris. Then, Abaddon made his move. The Blackstone Fortress descended into low orbit, its colossal weapon arrays locking onto key defense sites. With a single volley, it destroyed the fortress of Cassar, vaporizing defenders and cratering the landscape for kilometers. Yet hope did not die. In the midst of despair, Saint Celestine appeared, a living icon of the Imperior's will. With her came the Sisters of Battle, striking like a blade through the enemy's heart. Her presence reinvigorated the defenders, Entire regiments rallied and counterattacked, retaking ground thought lost forever. Creed seized the moment, launching a daring strike at the Blackstone Fortress itself. Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, and elite Kasrkin's shock troops boarded the alien fortress in a multi-pronged assault. They fought through labyrinthine corridors against traitor Astartes, heretic constructs, and warp-spawned horrors. In a climactic engagement, Imperial forces crippled the fortress's main weapon arrays. But Abaddon's strategy ran deeper than destruction from above. On Cadia's surface stood the enigmatic pylons, titanic, black monoliths older than the Imperium itself. Long had the Adeptus Mechanicus studied them, for they radiated a strange null field that weakened warp phenomena. Unbeknownst to many, these pylons were the true reason Cadia could resist the Eye of Terror's corruptive touch, and Abaddon intended to turn them into the planet's undoing. Through rituals of dark sorcery and the corruption of the Adeptus Mechanicus heretics, the Despoiler began to warp the pylon's function. Rather than holding back the warp, they began to tear reality apart. The ground trembled, auroras of unnatural color danced in the sky, the veil between real space and the warp thinned. The Imperium realized the danger too late. The last great battle was fought at the primary pylon nexus, with Saint Celestine, Inquisitor Greyfax, and the surviving command leading the defense. Chaos warbands, demons, and titanic war engines hurled themselves at the defenders. Creed's forces fought with unmatched fury, even as the ground cracked beneath their feet. Abaddon delivered the final blow. From orbit, the planet killer targeted the primary pylon complex. Its massive energy beam struck the structure, shattering it in an explosion that ripped open the fabric of space. The Eye of Terror roared to life, expanding outwards as the planet's crust split apart. Oceans boiled, mountains crumbled, and entire cities slid into the abyss. Amid the chaos, Creed ordered a general evacuation. Imperial Navy ships filled the skies, taking aboard as many survivors as possible. Many did not make it. Entire regiments were swallowed by the collapsing land or consumed by demonic hordes. In the final moments, Creed himself refused to leave, vowing to fight until the end. He was last seen amidst the ruins of the Cadian Command Center, his fate uncertain. When the storm finally subsided, Cadia was no more. Its shattered remains drifted in orbit around a permanent warp rift, a wound in reality that could never be closed. The Cadian Gate had fallen, and the Imperium shield against the Eye of Terror was gone. The fall of Cadia was more than the loss of a planet. It was a psychological and strategic catastrophe. For millennia, the phrase "Cadia Stands" had been a rallying cry across the Imperium. Now, it was a memorial. The 13th Black Crusade surged forward into the heart of the Imperium, beginning the era known as the Indomitus Crusade. Yet Cadia's spirit did not die. Survivors swore oaths of vengeance, forming the Cadian 101st and other regiments that would carry on the fight. Across the galaxy, the name of Ursarkar Creed became a legend, a reminder that even in the face of certain annihilation, Cadia stood to the very end. And somewhere, in the shifting tides of the warp, Abaddon the Despoiler knew that his victory had changed the galaxy forever. The path to Terra lay open, and the Emperor's realm would never again know peace.